Hello and welcome to Jarviskjir Mind Over Matter. Due to chronological arrangements, it is the Christmas episode. You can tell I've added some Christmas cheer of free PNGs I found on Google.
Wait, hang on, I need to check this out.
That's all.
Yeah, it's pretty cute.
The additions are.
I was tempted to add one that still had like a Shuttershock thing on it just to go maximum.
Yeah, nice.
Do you know what's really funny? Like the it is mistletoe, right? They're like a completely different art style to like everything else.
Yeah.
On the tree.
Yeah. It's like holly, innit?
Yeah,
It's holly. Mistletoe's white.
They look like Dragon Balls to me. I'm sorry.
They do look like Dragon Balls.
I looked at them and I just like
now.
I slowly zoomed in on them and my brain just started going.
The Christmas Dragon Ball episode.
I think there are 7 Dragon Balls, so we're missing one though. No wishes today, guys.
I couldn't allow a big old wish. We're here for Mind Over Matter and your comfort.
And your delectation.
Last week we met Tumulus, a sweet little baby boy, and after meeting Tumulus, found out that Tumulus is kind of a nice lad, and that he's going to be coming with you, and that Yemen is going to be going off to a farm.
Yeah, he just followed you. You just Yemen's going to the farm.
He's going to one of the
Not the same farm that we sent the gnomes to, right? Oh no!
Funny thing is he is literally going to a farm.
Charles already eaten one of those gnomes accidentally, but he knows. It's like,
oh no, I got.
Oh, okay.
That was an interesting. If an Ebimari ate the brain of someone who was high, would they get
Yes.
high off the brain?
Absolutely.
Oh my god, I need to see
That's what
that.
happens, like... I was gonna say that's
That
what happens in real life.
You don't know. Who
When
knows?
you brain.
Yeah.
Oops, cannibalism.
This is a travel session. You're just setting off. You've taken a grand quest from your patron, Orksure, to head to Narashiro and investigate the disappearance of a whole bunch of spiderkin. That, of course, Ocean is particularly invested in, as they're her peoples, more or less. And you bought a beetle. You bought a giant server beetle, around the size of an elephant, and then installed a palanquin on the back, proper diplomatic quality, and you are heading off down the road. Chance driving. Everyone else just
My
chilling.
feet.
Yeah.
I'm playing with my hands.
Are there any sort of discussions you guys want to have? I know you've already done a few of your beginning of journey discussions, but I don't know if you had any more ideas before we start swooshing through time.
After a day or two, as Charles will actually speak to Chance, and will like little bit of reticence, still not very comfortable, but trying to be A, friendly, and B, trying to get something, and we'll say, Chance, I assume you speak Gnomish from your upbringing?
Chance will like still be playing on their little Matukin, but like turn around and just.
No, you're driving!
I am.
Driving with the feet?
I'm driving with my feet. I'm assuming Ocean actually just yelled at them. Turns back. Yeah. And Chance will respond. Quite fluent. Yeah. So, if you need any translations, I suppose I'll be doing that.
Translations, or would you be willing to teach me?
Sure. Just not entirely convinced of how that would go down. Like, are you gonna like suck it? Suck the
No.
knowledge out of my head or not?
No, you
nothing.
ignorant.
She's not actually saying that. But like, there's like that hint of, but how? Like, what's the preferred method? But
Nothing so crass. I would learn it the traditional way. Rather, but instead of books teaching me, as with most things I have learned, you would teach me.
I don't see a problem with that. So, when do you want to start? Now? Might be a while till we get to the next place, so...
Yes, that would be good. Thank you.
Okay.
What's the Gnomish alphabet?
It has 51 letters.
It has 51
Yeah, but-
letters.
Is it the
Go
same as
through it
Elvish?
now.
I can't go through it. I know what it looks like, not what it sounds
What,
like.
you
Actually-
chance.
I
I
have
think
it
it is
somewhere
actually in
as
one
well.
of it's,
Brick.
I think it is actually in one of the homebrew documents. I've seen.
Yeah, but
there's
the
certainly-
image should be of the script. Yeah, in case anyone
Yeah.
wanted to use it for anything. That's why Nil
It's
has it.
alpha, beta, omega.
Just reminds me of the bit I saw where people were trying to reinvent the alphabet, and guess what? It's hard.
Was it the Griffin McElroy bit?
Yeah.
It's
I
the
think that
Griffin
MVP
McElroy bit. Squeak.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Get out of our home.
So I guess, Chance will just kind of briefly look back to the group to kind of signal that they kind of want to swap places so they can sit with Ashal. So just kind of like,
I'll go drive. Oshun will sit sort of like side saddle, but not like an asshole. If you can imagine.
Excuse me.
Instead of, like,
We
the
deal in
two
fantasy, but
together.
not in possibility here.
It's like the legs kind of like this instead of quite together, so it's like actually sat properly on the thing and be like, "Witcha."
Sure.
yeah.
So that's good. I was gonna say if you were gonna still be driving, that would take longer.
Can't see beneath the mask, but the face is like.
Ashal, what's your intelligence modifier?
+3.
Okay, so it takes 7 weeks for you to learn a language of dedicated time. Now, travel time in the back of a comfortable palanquin can be dedicated. This journey
Well.
probably won't take 7 weeks. It is.
That is a good point. How long? I don't think I asked last time. How long is this expected journey to Narashiro?
Hard to say. Based on how long you're stopping, based on if you actually stop off at Cavanari or anywhere else on the way. It is one of the longer journeys, and of course it's a little bit shorter because D&D 5e, you don't want to say, it's been 70 years, it's been traveling through the dark, but it's... You know what? It actually might be 7 weeks. That's probably a 2-month banger. Now, you don't actually have months in the Underrealm.
It's
now
the
another...
season, so it's like
Yeah.
a rough, yeah.
Because there's no moon. It could be faster. This is something we actually didn't discuss before, but there are different types of travel pace for overland travel. I'm assuming that would be a normal pace. You are resting appropriately. You don't really need to rest appropriately because you have 2 people who trance and a palanquin. So you could skip on the rest, although that might put some strain on Arpa, the beetle. But that would be around a 2-month... A 2-month journey, probably less because you're going to be stopping at Gokhan before you're there. And Gokhan is like a couple of days from Narashiro. So that's normal speed. You can go slower for stealth. Admittedly, that doesn't exactly make sense on the back of a giant beetle, but the concept still applies, where you're like you're more trying to blend in. You're keeping in with like merchant routes and stuff, right? But it would be harder. Then you can go faster, where you're just pushing it, but you're not like in forced march or anything. The downside being is that you will be much less aware of your surroundings. So if anyone's following you, or if there are monsters attacking or anything, you're going to have big disadvantage to that. And then you can go forced speed, which obviously starts to tire out things. Although you are riding a beetle that is basically designed for travel, but they're not designed for fast travel, right? They're slow, lumbering beasts that take their time to get places.
Well, they're kind of like beasts of burden as well. They're like multi-use. Like I'm
yeah.
They're like freight creatures. So
Yes, literally.
yeah.
I mean, I definitely
I'd
definitely be for a normal pace, just because I shall need to feed potentially as many as minimum of like 6 or 7 times on this journey, and that that might be a bit of a challenge.
That's a lot of feeding.
Yeah.
I always assume it's normal pace just from the get-go. Like
Yeah, I just like to remind everyone of the options in case you kind of want them. Yeah, nice. Okay, so traveling at normal pace. It's a couple of days in. Leaving Ebimaro is not difficult. It's not a city with a large footprint. You could pretty much just leave. The caverns that sort of lead west from it are fairly bare. Now, there is still fungal life that blooms in some places other than not. And there's still, of course, little caves and cracks and all that sort of things. And you do meet a lot of other travelers as you're traveling down a very well-maintained road. There are even lanterns, probably every half mile or so, on either side of the road, but have a little glass orb hanging from them with a little glowing jellyfish or glowing eel inside that give a little bit of light for people who are traveling. It's, while you're passing down this road, a couple of days in, Ocean would be the first person to notice it, of course. You notice the most terrible stench. You're passing on the right of you, right? On the cavern wall is this bloom of glowing blue mushrooms. They cling to the walls with these kind of tendrils that stretch out. And they're not just growing on the wall, they're growing on the ground, and they're growing on all the boulders and stuff. It's almost like a weed, right? It's just gone out of control. It's like if you left your Animal Crossing town for a couple of months and you come back.
Don't shame me.
I did that the other day, and I was like, I need a little sloth to come and take them all away. But you notice this, and these mushrooms give off enough light that like you guys can see by. There's always enough light to see by. It's never really that bright, but it is quite bright and quite blue. But you get hit by just this terrible smell. Now, the one upside of living in caves all the time is there's usually not much in the way of smells. Most of the time, the most smelly thing around you is Tumulus or like Ocean's perfume or whatever, right?
That's just her natural smell, like the oils she puts on her hair. This is more Timothée than I intended. I meant more like shea butter.
Oh my god. Fucking Timothée.
So it is something that strikes you as quite weird. It's honestly like repulsive. And then from your place above, because everyone opened the palanquin, you guys can't see all that well. Unless you choose to have the palanquin be open, but then it kind of defeats the point of it, right? But Ocean, you see someone tending to the patch of glowing brew mushrooms. A very large individual, but you can only really see the top half of them from the mushroom field. Just slowly cutting the glowing brew mushrooms and then storing them in baskets, weaved baskets. She's got loads of them all over her. A large masked individual, actually. Fairly similar to yourself.
I mean, Ian's so happy.
Yeah, but Ashal hasn't seen this yet,
Would we know what sort of...
You can give me a history or
mushrooms is?
nature check. Oh, for mushrooms, just nature. Yeah.
I'm both herbalism kit trained and nature trained.
That's a good-
Herbalism kit then instead.
What
I
stat?
am more
or
interested
whiz?
in what the creature is.
Wisdom or intelligence, Neil,
Makes
for
no difference to
herbalism
me.
check.
Shouldn't have really asked.
Well, it's
Get it,
important.
chillaxing in a palanquin. I don't care. Really.
It might be rolling.
Anyone, like,
I've asked it to roll.
wants to stop and have a conversation with this person. I don't think Oshun would be the one to do it, so if you want to ask, then
There we go.
Oshun stop the...
Okay.
Perfectly balanced.
So, Tumulus might even be the person to want to suggest a stop because you recognize what these mushrooms are, although not the furthest specifics. But you know their name. They are called night lanterns. They are an invasive species of glowing mushrooms that are known for their herbalistic properties, particularly in making narcotics. If you know how to do it, you can make very psychoactive, addictive substances with them. The fact that they're also an invasive species and grow just insanely all over the place makes it, very useful for wannabe drug dealers and cooks. All it probably took was someone to drop one in this area, and then like a year later, it's this whole grove of them, right?
Yeah,
you
but
don't.
does it have like a dual purpose? Like, is it like a back pain reliever as well as a narcotic? Is it like just narcotic?
You know what, Tumulus? You may have taken some of this before. Night lanterns need to be prepared in a very specific way, and they can create either a glowing blue or glowing purple substance that it does have a medicinal purpose, which might be why Tumulus has it as a achy breaky boy. It essentially blocks almost all negative feelings from your brain. Understandably, that is a very addictive feeling.
Bit excessive.
Yeah, and there's no real way to tone it down either, really. You have heard rumors that you can make a stronger version of it that basically puts people into like a coma. But that's what it is used for. You don't actually know how to do it. You've just encountered it before. It's the kind of thing that grows in like badly maintained slums because it would just grow on like anything.
And all it takes is a couple of spores and bam.
Yeah.
Tumulus would raise a hand and say, "Those glowing mushrooms, night lanterns, they are good for blocking out the bad."
I think Oshun would say, "Without bad, there is no good." I think then she would like call out to the person tending them, just, "Are you okay? How's it going?"
You alright?
Do we know what type of creature this is? It's about history.
You
check.
can give me a history or nature check. Well, 20 is really good. So you might have a little worry when Ocean calls to talk. I mean, like only like you pause the you press park on the beetle, like, pull one of the antenna back.
Do a return.
You have to like beat.
And then just lower the window.
I've just got the image now, and like it's gotta be freaking canon of like a very well decorated server beetle, and it's got two little red lanterns on the back to be like little backlights.
Indicators.
Yeah.
I need it.
It actually fits so well as like a gnomish thing. So you might actually know to be a little worried about this, Ian. And of course, Ian, you know why. I'll tell you why after a bit of a response. But the masked figure cranes their neck an uncomfortable amount, almost like twisting their body backwards before they properly start to turn, and will to the best of their ability, like, try and speak to you, but you're a bit far away, right? Like, Ocean's very calmly, your voice can travel a long way, but they have to, like, really try. Like, oh, just farming, gathering. Would you be interesting in purchase?
No, thank you. Do you need water, supplies?
Oh, water. And there's like you can't see the underside of this creature, but the thing like shuffles forward a step in a very uncomfortable way, kind of pushing some mushrooms closer. Like, water can be hard to come by. It would be very generous and kind of you to offer some to a poor, lonely old woman like me. As they speak, the smell gets worse. You can't see their mouth opening or anything. They're wearing a mask that kind of looks dwarven, actually. It's kind of a dwarven helmet. It looks kind of similar in design to the one that the Duros that was at Alxier's base had. It's a very decorated dwarven helmet. It looks more for decoration than for like armor. They're not wearing any other armor. The rest of their body is covered in bags and little weaved baskets and like herbalism equipment and stuff. And that's when they get a little closer, you see that, like much like a centaur, top half of the body, humanoid, admittedly pallid and sunken, but the lower half is that of a massive worm-like grub, but very chunky, very large, and also coated in bags and barrels and all these other things, basically using their own back as storage. As Charles, you would know of these creatures.
I kind of imagine that being like a bit of an outcast and having to stick to dark places, Ashal would probably have had dealings with one or two of them.
Slug boy, my brother.
That's good to know. Gromliak are some of the most repulsive creatures in the Underrealm that all civilized races agree not to deal with. They are part person, part grub, and there are even horrible rumors that they are the descendants of cannibal cults that devoured their own kind, right? Turning them into these cursed, disgusting creatures. It's not just the scent of them that is repulsive. There is a supernatural aura of disgust that, when they're close to you, is very hard to overcome. You need to be a very like positive, nice person to be able to get through it. Or desperate.
All living things and non-living things as your bebes.
Yeah, even other Gromliak do not like their own company, which leads them to be very isolationist. Which is a shame, because the one thing they want the most is someone to talk to. They want that kind of trading relationship, so most of them make do, most of them have a craft, and most of them try to trade wherever they can, usually on the very, very outskirts of the cities, or anywhere where they can kind of sneak in. But it's hard for them to sneak in, because they are massive. They are large-sized creatures, right? They are... Now, usually they're harmless, but they can get hungry. And you actually know, as Charles, one of the other reasons why Ebamari don't like them especially. Ebamari conceive their young via living humanoid hosts. They implant a tadpole into the ear or nose of a humanoid, and that will start a transformation into an Ebamari. Gromliak do something very similar. They implant eggs into usually humanoid bodies that will eat the insides out. For that reason, Ebamari don't like them being nearby, because on a biological level, they're poaching their chances of children. So there's a reason why a lot of Ebamari, even outcasts, actually don't deal with Gromliak, but again, if you're desperate enough.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel that Ashal probably would have, like, begrudgingly once or twice had to make deals with Grunliaks.
A Grunliak that sells the brains of the bodies they've
Exactly, yeah.
chewed on a little.
It's hard to pretend that they're repulsive when you just love them.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody loves them.
Everybody loves a Grunliak because they're the grossest creatures in the world, and that's why everyone likes to see them.
I think Oshun will lean over from the head of this beetle and like hold her hand above one of the containers, more like a bowl or something, like a jar, and
That's...
wait.
Destroy water.
You've
Create
killed
water.
me!
And
Ooh.
also, like, when you mentioned the disgust that everyone feels, even though she's extending this from, like, behind the mask, one or two of the braids sort of shift.
The Grunliak is very surprised, and it's all body language because you cannot see any face or anything. Right?
Bitch, it's acid!
Well, create or destroy acid might be appropriate in a drug field. And they will like quickly try and like shift so that the jars like get the most amount of the water, and it's like clean. It's clean, pure water, and probably tastes damn good too. You know, so they're very surprised. They're like, their grub underside is visibly palpating with excitement. I was like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Very kind woman. My thanks, my most gracious, kind thanks.
Go well, and unless anyone else wants to poke the slug.
Ashal is... You can tell from Ashal's tentacles that they're even more uncomfortable than normal.
Stop it, Neil. Just stop it. You should be
Chance have
ashamed
just been
of
like
yourself.
peeking out the palanquin, just like their nose has been permanently wrinkled, like. Nasty. Not even participate. Just like, man, you smell nasty.
Tamulus would be doing the same if his nose possessed that faculty.
Probably going off
The
chances
rest
like
of his
reaction.
nose withdraws into his face.
Gross.
Anti-nose.
Oh, let me just hooks it back out.
The Grunliak will kind of keep bowing their head and start to turn and be like, Baba thanks you, and shift back to their field.
What on earth is Baba?
You
Oh, it's their name.
uncharacteristically kind.
All things since I ascended have taken the role of my family or my child. It is inescapable and a gift. And although I love every being equally, I feel their pain as well. And if I can relieve it, it brings me some joy. Baba?
That is probably more kindness than that being has seen in its life. I have had dealings with one or two. They are... It would be hypocritical of me to say they are pitiful creatures.
Hypocritical it may be. I cannot help but feel they are repulsive. He looks at his hands as he says this. He's like, "It is strange."
There is a reaction from the beetle. It just kind of makes like... And it's a very quiet creature, almost all the time. But it makes that kind of like noise. And it like shakes its head and wants to like start moving. Kind of like... a little.
Perhaps the stories of them being cursed are true. And it is something beyond physical that causes that revulsion.
Christmas!
Empathy is the greatest and most powerful gift in existence. With empathy, you can overcome anything. As you've just shown now.
That is an interesting point of view. He smiles.
I'm sure we've all seen what those who are deprived of the gift of empathy are capable of and think of themselves.
Ashal's definitely like a bit of a self. You can clearly tell it's a self-mocking laugh, but just sinks a bit further into himself as that's said.
Okay.
Hi-ho, Silva!
You can keep going.
Yep.
Yeah, it's meant to be yip yip. Come on.
Wait, isn't it Apo? Shouldn't it be like Yop Yop?
It's like.
I'm okay with that.
that.
Yes, but I don't want to get sued by Nickelodeon. Of going, we all know they don't give a shit about Avatar and its everything, but still.
Air, fire, water, DMCA.
You guys can get back to moving. A lot of what you meet on the road are not as nasty as Gronliak. Like I said, this is a merchant's road. And it really does seem like it. Unlike the path where you traveled before, there's a constant. Like, you're always seeing someone. Usually dwarves, sometimes with a small beetle carrying a carriage, sometimes another great beetle that you have to kind of, like, get on the sign.
Like a
Pass.
country road.
Yeah.
Where it's
Like a country road.
Yeah, like those occasional little like turn-offs where you can like stop.
Yeah.
Yes!
Through. I can imagine those like being quite
Yeah.
prevalent.
I bet this doesn't
sure.
make any sense
Rest
to
stops
any
as well.
American audience.
No, you just drive straight and you keep on going, not like us with our rabbit
Wiggly
warren
woos.
roads.
Little wiggly woos. It's even the kind of place where occasionally there are, like I mentioned before, deliberate rest stops where there might even be other people around who usually keep to themselves, but might give you either a sense of safety or a sense of not safety. The opposite, in fact. And that's
The opposite
kinda
of not
up to
safety?
you. What?
The opposite of not safety. Anyway.
Oh wait, that was like a triple negative.
Yeah.
You gonna eat?
Yes,
I don't
I need to feed probably.
Please stop saying feed. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Yes, it would be a week into your journey when it's almost all merchant roads. You actually can see something in the distance which would catch a lot of you guys' eye.
Is it
Because you
the
can't
McDonald's
usually...
sign?
Yeah! With a little brain.
This
But,
is Michael.
There... Because you can't always see very far away in the Underrealm. While Aetherlight does sort of trickle down, some areas are just naturally wreathed in shadow. And you're not in a giant fungal forest where there's enough light to see very clearly, which is almost seem maybe reversed to what you might expect from a regular forest, but most of fungal plants glow, right? So, but north of this trade road, bridging a massive cave entrance is 2 dwarven towers. They're built on the side of the valley. This is not the way you're going. It's like a side route. It'd be if you were heading north. And they meet in the middle with a little bridge, like a H. It's called, because it would be on the map, even though it's not on your map. Yeah, Huckdonalds. Yeah, you got it. Huckdonalds. It's called the Towers of Ramon. And it's the official entrance to Deep Dwarven territory. Very large, sort of Deep Dwarven fort that probably would be very defended if it was like wartime, but it's not. It's peacetime. Now, Ashal, how are you going to feed? There's no, well, there's
like
there's people to unscrew the...
Some Ramon.
Well, I mean, this is the difficulty. I would have basically been having to ask at rest stops. That's about the only thing I have, and sort of obviously that would only be sipping, so it would only be.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm assuming I'm not encountering anything that I can.
Please give me a
unscrew.
persuasion roll. So, well, you would have to hunt.
Yeah, exactly.
Now something you do get at the rest stops just in general is it's almost always, it's like, oh, can you? And then people who are traders who are like comfortable talking to Ebamari and don't realize that you're an outcast, because why would they? Are like, oh, but we're only a couple of days from Cavanari. Surely you can eat there. And then you're like, but there would occasionally be people who have servants or soldiers or even bodyguards or whatever, where they're like, oh, okay, yeah. You wouldn't be able to do the convincing, I'll like remove something you don't want, because you're not that experienced. But asking around at rest stops, this is a busy enough merchant road that, yeah, you absolutely can. You're also going to pick up, just from general knowledge, that actually, you know what, let me pop up the map for this. I have not organized the combat screen today. Everyone's going to be in the wrong place, but here it'll be.
I'm playing chance.
This road, like through to Cavanari, merchant road, right? Merchants who come from Narashiro usually go through Abanir. So there's a road through the Narashiro caverns and the forest, but it's not going to be as well traveled, which means it's not going to be as well easy for you to feed off of willing participants, to have little sips. But it's also a very, very populated area of all kinds of other creatures that are edible, for lack of a better term. So there's that. Just so you know, that's something that you're kind of going to have to keep in mind of. Of course, Cavanari is a treaty of the Deep City, so it has food for you. Yeah. So there's that. Good thinking out.
Yeah, I was kind of just figuring, sipping until we get to the cavern.
And your little jar of boys.
Well, I want those.
Hold off on that, don't you?
Rations.
Oh,
those are emergency rations if I absolutely need to.
You don't just want to pop a boy, see what he's like. This little brain with eyes.
Even in context, this is just weird. Like, out of context, like, I think it's worse in context. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll decide what's worse.
Describe what it's like.
Well, no, as I say, emergency rations.
Fine. You feed
as
them
Charlotte,
regularly,
Charlotte feeds them and occasionally talks to them.
No!
Or you
Do you play with them?
How can you play with a brain in a jar?
You just look at it and go, "This one's doing."
It's Death Stranding.
Yes.
Give the little shake the baby.
Just want to pop a boy.
Do not shake the baby.
Yeah, it makes me think of freaking that Wii game.
I just imagine them as like little tadpoles that have brains and big googly eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of needing rations, my stomach just rumbled the loudest, so I think we're gonna take a break. So I can find something to
Are you
eat.
gonna pop a boy?
Well,
Just a baby boy.
the answer might
Let's,
surprise you.
let's maybe not talk about him dropping a child during the break.
Just talked about shaking baby.
All right. This is why we need to go on break. There's no recovery. All right, we'll be back in like a couple of minutes.
No shaking babies.
Hello.
Ban.
I'm not getting banned today. Not today. Not today, Bezos. Okay. So, Ashal's hunger sated, you guys can keep on traveling towards Kavanari. Kavanari, like I've mentioned a bunch of times, it's very important because it's like the first new large community in the Underrealm in like living memory. You know, it's a very hard place to build, especially build something new. And Kavanari is a joint effort from every race in the Treaty of the Deep, other than one or two, I guess, to make a new diplomatic hub, which is exactly why it sort of exists. Now, almost all settlements in the Underrealm, other than like Narashiro, are perfectly built into like either a good piece of cave wall or something like that. Like Ebamari is built into like this really curved piece of cave wall where they can build up the side. And Kavanari is very similar. It's almost in like a crater, where you can see, even like you're very far away, but you can see it in the distance because of the crater that it sits in and the large walls of stone that come up around it, which are not necessarily 100% practical in the Underrealm, but they definitely look both imposing and impressive, and like clean and like well made. And this is from far away, but you guys will actually get disrupted before you even get to Kavanari. You're like a day or so away, when there is someone in the way of your beetle. You may not even be paying completely a lot of attention, Ocean, when the beetle's like and stops. There is a giant.
Crunch.
There is a giant in the way, fumbling, trying to pick up a very large trunk of a fungal wood tree. They're doing a thing where they're trying to hold it to their chest, but they can't, like, heft it up. And it's not just any giant, too. This is a Fomorian, something that most of you would recognize, at least on description. Fomorians are the giants of the Underrealm who, again, may even be cursed, like the Grunliak. This guy's got kind of like a bluish-grey skin. But the main thing about them, well, like, they're big and, like, come up over, like, probably to your eye height right now, sitting on the back of the Beetle Ocean, right? But he's hunched. His back and whole body are coated in lumps. Some of them are, like, hard and calcified. Some of them are, like, sagging and squishy and pull and tear at all the flesh around it. They're very asymmetrical. They're very loping. One arm is much bigger than the other, which is one of the reasons why he's having trouble trying to heft up this log. Fomorians are kind of scary. A lot of people are scared of them. But this one doesn't seem to mean you any harm. He's literally just in the way, in the road, trying to pick something up. He's also wearing actually quite well made, like, I guess shorts. Because it's a lot of material to make clothes for a giant. And they look like they've been made by...
Jorts. Just jorts in my brain. Just this whole description. Jorts are the only thing they're wearing.
They are blue. They look like they've been made by a smaller creature, because obviously Fomorians are very big. And he's also got, like, sandals on and stuff. And he will even kind of, like...
Sandals and jorts.
Socks and sandals.
He's dressed like a nerd. He's dressed like a freaking nerd. Like, you're not wrong. He's dressed like a soft nerd. And he will even, like, his face away from you, be like, sorry for keeping you, I'm so sorry. I'm having some trouble. And, like, he's deliberately not looking at you or the beetle or any of you in the thing, Ocean.
He is extremely spaghetti falling out of pockets right
He
now.
is extremely spaghetti falling out of pockets right now. That is exactly what's happening.
Like, you said nerd, and I'm like, come on, like, you gotta... This is perfect.
Who is strong?
I will try to help him. How does one get down?
Unroll
like,
a little
point
ladder.
us- Yeah, there's like a ladder. I guess Chance will like get off as well, because like they're kind of curious about this big...
Big
And
boy.
Shah will also float down in case they're needed.
Not terribly strong.
I mean, you could help because you're
strong.
one of the things about large-sized creatures, which is like mentioned offhand in one description of a creature in D&D 5e, is that large-sized creatures have basically different thresholds for strength. So, like, you would be able to help just the size, just the leverage, right? So if you're helping as well, it would give Tumulus advantage on this athletics check to help this guy.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Ocean will ask you to hold the reins. I don't suppose the beetle's going to be like, no.
No,
and,
it
run off.
it'll just stay in place where it's left. It might kind of... It actually starts to turn to look to something to lick. Because they lick dew off mushrooms. That's how they... And the cave walls. That's how they live.
There and just
So...
tongue just round.
you haven't bonded like that yet.
Ashok was going to come and help, but is instead just going to stay with the beetle and like see if they can guide the beetle to
Lick
a
my
bit
hand.
of.
Yeah, so
My hand.
to describe this area, you're on the road. There is like a kind of like nice little nest of rock on the other side. It makes like a nice kind of crook, and it seems like it's also been deliberately cleared out. On the other side are quite a bit of fungal trees, so you can be like, okay, let's get you a food. And like, there's something you've learnt about Apo or Oppa. I don't remember which one you want him to call it. Maybe both. It's an impatient, hungry boy.
Is there like a thing, like a plant that's got some big droplets of underground dew on it, and it's like,
yeah, you get it.
It's not like though. It's like
It is. It is a lot grosser just due to the size. Yeah.
no, I just thought it'd be weird because you can actually like see a beetle tongue, and it's like a bird tongue. It's pointy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
leh.
It's literally the same thing that hummingbirds
Does
do.
he have a radula?
So that athletics check, Tumulus. Advantage.
Tumulus walks up and he's like, "I will help," and bends down. And you hear like his spine crack, like 3 loud cracks as he bends down to take a quick grip.
Ah, he's 30. I can tell.
Oshun will like
Nice.
bend.
I swear I roll better than this. Take me off stream and I roll perfectly.
Well, you see, I've got the good rolls so far today.
Knowledge checks.
2 of them.
Ian's allowed to roll
By
good in
my
knowledge
stats,
checks.
that's Good.
Ocean, how are you going to help here? Just
Um,
you had something in mind.
Gonna bend knees, wrap arms around it, not lift from the back, lift with the knees. Do I
Tumulus
get
is lifted
advantage
with
or is
the
that
No,
just-
you gave him advantage.
I
right?
gave him advantage.
You're the lever that kind of you can help guide everything up. Because the issue isn't his strength. It's you don't need to roll anything. You're good, and it's good because you rolled a 4.
Good. 'Cause it was right.
The issue isn't the Fomorian's strength. It's because he's kind of like he's dropping the spaghetti. So you can help him like just get it up enough that he can get a good enough grip, and then he will be able to start taking it. He takes it to that little nook, this like little cleared out space, where he'll
What
place
will
it.
you do? Sorry, you cut out for a second.
He will pick up the log with the help of you guys and take it to the little nook, and leave it deliberately parallel to the road, where there actually, you can see, there is a couple of, like, a hatchet that's made for, like, his size and stuff like that. And he'll be like, and turn to look at all of you. Another thing you notice now that he's turned your way is that his right arm, which was faced away from you, has a light blue tattoo all the way down it. It's kind of like a swirly, almost like water pattern.
Chance will probably take a bit more interest in that.
And then you
considering
see
artistic-
his face. The face only a Fomorian lover would... Fomorian lover? Fomorian mother would love. One of the most defining features of Fomorians is not their lumps. It's that one eye is much, much larger than the other. Probably around 4 times bigger. The skull is deformed to basically hold this giant eye in place that barely fits. It's like almost like a big googly ball, you know, and it's glossy and sheen. The other eye is almost kind of covered up by all the rest of it. Hairless, lumpy as it is. But little eye, red. Big eye, blue. With like a dark ring around the outside. And he will give the best attempt of a bow and like the kind of like a leg curtsy thing, but you know, he's kind of clumsy. Like, hey, you have my greatest thanks for the assistance that you've given me. There are many others that would simply have walked past and turned their heads away, and that's quite
What
shameful.
language is this in?
This would be in Undercommon.
Tell me the smiles and nods.
Oh.
He only speaks common.
You don't speak Undercommon? Because they don't speak Common. You speak Undercommon. These guys have been speaking Undercommon this entire campaign.
Oh, okay. All right.
You've been speaking Undercommon.
All right, I'll add that in then.
basically the common, but
Yeah, in an Underdark campaign, everyone speaks
That would be
Undercommon.
really funny if this whole time we had no idea. he
He's
didn't
just been
understand
smiling and
us.
nodding, just like
Yeah, it's just coincidence that it's all made sense.
Would you like to come with us? Would you like to join in?
But
And
what
it
is
was
of note?
My family.
It is of note, but his Undercommon is very good. It's very clean, very well spoken, very. He's using. It's kind of hard for me to express, but he's using like Undercommon is a trade language, right? Now it's also used by everyone, but but one of the parts of that is that there's kind of classes to it, a bit like some languages where there's like a much more formal version. He's using the most formal version possible.
would you say it's like where there's like the meme where it's like someone who's not natively English learns English and they're like the politest English you would know?
That is
Is it
100%
like
that.
kind of like that?
And chance you would know people doing that very well, because a lot
Yeah.
of people go to your casino who are like that. Yeah, it's 100% that.
They probably find that like very endearing and like really wants to just say, and then just says fuck it. It says, well, you were kind of in the way though, but glad you appreciate the help.
I do apologize for that. I didn't mean to be. I'm simply my old hands not quite as good as I thought they were.
All
Were
good.
you removing this tree from the middle of the road?
Oh no, I chopped it down myself. Well, chopped, shoved, actually. Got enough girth to just one hard heft, and it goes over. No, I took it down to put it here.
What for? What's the project?
His eye maybe literally lights up.
Cyclops!
You'll fucking make a
You know
constitution
when you
save.
described his eye, like you know goldfishes, they have like those really like side
Yeah.
protruding. Is that what it's
Yeah.
like?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
And
it's
when
like
it looks at
goldfish.
you, it kind of has a little wiggle to it. Like when he looks, it kind of bobs. The other one doesn't, but just the big one. He will kind of clasp his hands together and is like, I am building a tavern.
How wonderful! How far are you along?
Well, I have this log. It's a lot more work than I thought it would be.
Do you have a team?
Oh no. I have some friends, but they're off back at Narashiro, and I thought this would be a better, a good use of my time, and it would bring lots of friends here. My friends have always been very accepting people, and, well, they wouldn't let me in Kavanari. So I thought I would make a nice space here that everyone would be quite welcome for, if you're exceptionally big or exceptionally small. And I suppose in between too.
What's
Chance,
your
like-
name?
Chance like folds their arms and just looks a bit unimpressed at like the mention that he wasn't like allowed to be in this place that's meant to be like a hub for all. And it's kind of like,
My name is Bryce. I chose it myself.
Oh, fantastic. And what are the name of your friends, Bryce?
I'm not meant to say. So that
Well, that's
one I'll
all
just
right.
keep to myself.
That's fair enough. I figured if we saw them in Narashiro, we might direct them down this path.
Oh, I'm sure they'll find out about it at some point. When I've got more built up. But it is a lot of work. I don't really have many other people helping. I don't suppose you would ever be interested in assisting. Not more of your time, of course. You're clearly very busy, important people. Motions to your beetle and palanquin.
The beetle
That is-
goes.
The beetle is currently like on its back legs, trying to get at something really high up. And Ashal's like,
What?
ah.
You can hear, like, the
Well,
clat-
Ashal can float, so that's no problem.
you can hear like the clatter of ceramics and shit in there.
It reaches for like dew that's high up, and Ashal just floats up and goes.
I can't float up that high, unfortunately, but
"Yeah,
I
but
can
if
float
you
up.
float on his head."
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
The yeah, what were you, did you reply to him when he said that?
Yeah, basically just saying that we were busy and saying yes, unfortunately we do have an errand that's quite pressing at the present. But I'm sure there's something we could figure out.
There's lots of nobody told me that there was so much gold involved in making a place, a tavern, and trade routes and furniture.
that.
Yeah. Wow, that's rolled something completely different on my end. Yeah, you actually do think that he's being genuine. That he just needs, you know, he's just really trying to make a nice little place for people and needs a little gold to help it along. He does
Chance
seem
will
real.
just kind of step closer to him and just say, "What I want to know is, you know, makes the crossed arms like more prominent, looking a bit more like, not like scary, but like more bold, despite being a fucking tiny goblin. Why won't those people let you hang around in their little town? What's their deal, huh?"
Oh, Fomorians aren't part of the treaty.
Kind of like turn away, look towards Ocean, and Tamulus is with us as well, right? Yeah. Chance will address them. Maybe we can convince those people to let this guy in. We're on the way. And he's clearly not doing a great job so far. It seems like it would be easier just to convince them to let him settle.
Oshun would put a hand on Chance's shoulder and say, "I'm sure we can have a word, absolutely."
Tamulus raises a finger, slowly scratches his eyeball gently. Is it our place to make diplomatic decisions? We are
Absolutely.
only there on the invitation of another.
I mean, from my understanding, this place was meant to be a hub for all kinds of races involved in the treaty. Like, and they're clearly showing the skepticism about the not the legitimacy of the treaty, but like, is it really something? You know, if it's not going to include everyone, like, it's kind of bullshit, right? Is it really so bad for us to be diplomatic, as is what our patron said?
Bryce here says that his people are not part of the treaty.
Could be something we have a hand in as well. We'll take a bit of liberty with what we're told to do. Might get a little bit extra for it, who knows?
How much gold is like he thinking?
He doesn't have an answer to that. It's
How much gold is reasonable?
you don't really know. Maybe this is the kind of thing where you could keep putting in a little bit more gold every now and again and help him make a tavern.
I'll give him 5 gold.
He'll take it quite
It's
thankfully.
something to start.
Yeah.
I mean,
Would
when he's
they?
got no gold, 5 gold is quite a
5
big
gold is more than
increase.
5 is more than none.
Tumulus would turn to Bryce and cock his head and say, would they not let you in at all?
Well, there's a little spot for merchants and trader folk, but I'm not really any one of those.
I love the idea of your tavern, Bryce.
Thank you.
Could
We'll be
we
seeing you in the future.
not get him merchant's papers?
How
If
easy
one
would
of
that be?
you could ask with the lady's favor, that may be within scope.
All in due time, I'm sure.
Turn to Bryce again. No, give him like a wink. I'm not gonna wink him proper because I can't, but I'm gonna like wink at him and just say I can't. I'll see what we can do. We'll probably come back. Sit tight, maybe chop a few trunks down.
I would be very thankful for any way that you could help.
Help, Bryce.
Is that on your quest list?
Yep.
Bryce.
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 Turn Bryce into
All
shopkeep.
right.
Tavern keep.
Tavern keep.
Although he could have a shop as well, I guess.
Maybe the shop is first up.
A
where
little
am I?
little souvenir shop attached to it. I think if everything's all set and he seems okay, head back to the beetle, coax it down from the wall.
Yeah. Head back to trade. Or to travel. I waved to Bryce. Bryce will wave
Goodbye.
back.
It's getting excessive. The accent's getting out of control.
It's getting more and more every time. Yeah, I was noticing that. It'll stabilize at some point. Y'all can head back and head back to the trade, and it's really less than a day's travel to actually get to Cavanari, or at least a part of Cavanari that you can sort of enter from. It's really only got the one main entrance, and it opens up, the walls open up into basically a large field with the city behind it. Cavanari is... The architecture is mostly vaguely dwarven, just out of practicality. Although there's a lot of similarity between Deep Dwarven and Deep Gnomish architecture as well. But the city is kind of behind this field, and this field is where the merchants hang out. Exactly what Bryce told you of. This is the kind of place where you do see people who aren't actually treaty members. Maybe with like a tent, maybe with some of their beetles, maybe with some other beast of burden, and selling some wares. But like, it's not really an official marketplace or anything like that. They're not super welcome. You do pass guards at the entrance. You give you kind of a description of why you're here. That's all fine, you know. And you can be welcomed into Kavanari. What's your first port of call?
I want to hand feed the beetle at the stable. Let me feed the boy.
Yeah. So there's actually these things for feeding beetles.
I want to brush him.
Polish. There's these things for beetles that are... They're like a seesaw. And it like passively collects dew on one side and then donks to the other. And there's those of them in the stables. So yeah, you stable up your beetle, and you can spend some time feeding and cleaning and polishing it. So Ocean's just doing that. What else is everyone else sort of interested in? Your stables would be right on the edge of this merchant's field and like the city proper. What are you feeling?
Charles wants food.
Damn it.
Yeah, you can go and get food. There's a lot of Ebamari here. You can get Ebamari food. Brains.
Gonna go eat a brain.
You can go eat a brain. And it's totally fine.
Brain. Sorry.
Hans is going to wander off and have a look around and see what's going on in the city.
Which part are you interested in, or are you going to be on kind of like the border?
I guess the border for now.
Yeah, so you can kind of look at both sides. Anyone else gonna go with you, or just like deliberately on your own?
Just kind of like break away, maybe.
I think Tumulus would stick with the Shao for the moment.
Excellent. What you notice, without any kind of checks, is, the inside of the city is Deep Dwarf, Deep Gnome, Ebamari, and Usurper Elf diplomats, and people who tend to be diplomats. You don't notice any of the other peoples that you've started to encounter along the way inside the city, inside its, where it's got gardens, and some which have plant life, some which have like just beautiful statues, and plazas and things. Not a Fomorian or a Undergoblin in sight or anything like that. Whereas in the field, well, they all... it's a lot more varied, but at the same time, it's also kind of tense. Because there's a lot of people, trying to get attention from the treaty. And when they go out of line, then of course they're kind of shoved out of the area and not allowed to trade anymore.
Did I notice any, fellow undergoblins like me, in the little market slum?
You can give me a perception check.
Perception. That's a P.
Yeah. Not persuasion. No. You didn't.
Cool. So it's all this posh stuff. Relatively posh looking stuff. It's high market real estate, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, and it's also very new. It's very new and very clean, right? It's only really been... I mean, the Treaty of the Deep's only existed for 7 years. And this has been made in the last 2. So it's really not that big a place either. There's construction going on in areas too, right? What is there is very nice. With a kind of essentially parliamentary building in the back, farthest back and furthest up.
Okay. Probably maybe go a bit deeper into Cabanari then, see, like maybe look out for anything of real interest, either like to me or to like what we're trying to achieve. Any diplomatic places of interest.
Okay, you can give me an investigation check. See what you get.
I'm not doing well at all today.
There haven't
No.
been that many rolls so far.
And also, I mean, you had a 0 on that. You know, you get what you
Yeah.
get. Yeah, it's not something you wouldn't understand, but you don't notice anything that you're like, oh, that'll be really useful, or that'll be something I want to come back to later, right? There's scenes such as usurper elf singing on the corner with a pair of gnomes actually playing a gong harp. It's a large gong with threads stitched across it that allow a whole amount of crazy cool sounds, and they're playing music together and stuff like that. But there's nothing like useful to you that you notice without looking more specifically for very specific things. You know what I mean? But mostly just people kind of hanging out without any troubles. If they're doing diplomacy stuff, they're definitely doing it at their own pace. And kind of neutral guards. The guard force does at least have a good number of like different peoples in it. Not many Ebamari because they're not really suited to it, but like guard gnomes, guard dwarves, guard elves.
Okay. I think I'll just keep walking around, just ambiently until.
Just hanging.
Just hanging, yeah.
Feeling that max and relax and all cool.
Chilling. Oh, God, I can't think of something way to finish that. Yeah,
All right.
that's me done.
I think Oshun is heading towards. Are we staying in a tavern or something?
It's up to you all.
Yeah.
That would make most sense.
I think Oshun would be in a tavern at this point.
Of course, you've got to have money.
I have money.
You have money? Oh no, wait. We, as in I spent all of my
I think as a
bunch
pot
of gold.
money.
Reason why I stuck with the Shal. I know what the money is.
It's a valid point. I think, yeah.
Retail therapy.
I just nodded left.
That's cute.
So there's two kind of, you can go for really nice places here because it's the kind of place for like diplomatic residences. But the standard tavern near the entrance, you can kind of hang out in, maybe order a meal.
And I will look around and see if I can see any tall peoples like me or giant kind of people.
So do you mean other Driders?
Big people or quite small people?
So just people who are large or small?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Not so much when it comes to people who are large. There's no member of the Treaty of the Deep races that are large size. But there are gnomes resting here, right? Of quite a few. All sorts of different colors in their outfits because they're usually representing their own little enclaves. There is a couple of the deep gnomes who have organized a kind of some sort of gambling around one of the tables. You can't quite see because there's quite a crowd, and they're like drumming up people to come and well, so that they can pocket their money.
I think Oshun would check to see if are they catered for their like size?
Oh yeah,
actually catered for Bryce.
no,
My boy.
100% not. Bryce couldn't get in through the door to this place. You had to stoop. Catered for dwarves and elves and gnomes, not for Fomorians. No, big no, absolute no.
Because he said big people and to the very small. So like, it would be easier to try and persuade someone who was in more difficulties than these gambling gnomes.
They look like they're in their element. Yeah, he may not have meant literally the gnomes, because they're a treaty race, right? Most of them, anyway. Depends on the enclave.
I think
Just Bryce, Nat Grubman. Sitting there with a beer.
She would approach someone, someone who's like maybe elf or anything like that, and just sort of strike up a conversation with them. Hello. She's
Hi.
not. I mean, what's her charisma?
That's very good charisma.
Very good
Big
charisma.
buxom
So
lady,
don't-
how can
Yeah,
anyone not know
the woman who's sort of sitting there waiting for something. Their eyes will look over you, and they will kind of give like a respectful bow, but still like sitting, with like a glass of wine and everything, right? Like, is there anything I can help you with, my lady?
Well, I just encountered the most wonderful person who was building a tavern just outside this city. I don't suppose you know of anyone who would be interested in an establishment that caters to all peoples, including those who are more of my size. I'm not sure if you noticed the...
She's like in the chair, like with her knees a little bit further up.
I just thought it was the most fantastic venture. Do you know of anyone who's looking for work?
For work, yes, lots of people. But on something like that, I don't think you'll find many people around here agreeable with letting just anyone into Cavanari, if that's what you're suggesting. If you're staying, we can definitely find a proper chair or something for you. I'm a weaver by trade, not one of the mercenaries, just a weaver. I could get you a good quilt or something to rest upon.
That's most kind. That is a shame. I was under the understanding that the treaty was supposed to welcome a great diversity of peoples. All new things do take their time to find their footing. Has that been your experience?
There's diversity, sure. I mean, I've learnt some great techniques from conveying with dwarven and gnomish crafters, but a lot of the people you see outside in the fields, I mean, what could they offer to the treaty? It's meant for wartime. It's meant so that our peoples can take the surface from the greedy people who bask in the sun. I don't know what they would do with it. Who've lived their entire lives with just sickening privilege. That's what the treaty is for. The trade and the translation of all sorts of connective technologies is convenient. But
I'm sensing a lot of resentment. Are you quite settled in where you want to be in life? Is everything all right with you?
oh yes. Oh yes. It'll only be grander once the elven cities on the surface fall to the heel of Narashiro's grandeur.
Right. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
And she's just gonna rise and rise
And rise and rise and rise.
and rise.
For a moment, it felt like she was gonna like pull a pamphlet out between her boobs. She's like, "Have you heard of the good word?"
It's more like someone who's like has a pie in the sky kind of idea about things being completely different, and if this ever comes to pass, things will most likely not be quite what they imagined, but
Yes.
nothing she can do right now.
So I think I might have the idea to go into the field and see if there's anyone who wants to, who's capable, who's just been thrown into the field because they're a bit different.
Hmm.
Anyone else?
I think Ashal would have probably come back by now, not knowing anyone else would probably have gone to the beetle. So probably meet up.
Are you petting the beetle?
I don't understand. Do you excrete the brain?
But
Gotta
do you-
ask. Very important.
Ink, right? Like,
What is the answer, Ian? What is the answer?
this is
You
important.
have the
law.
power now, Ian. Fire your cannon.
A
I
lady
know the
doesn't
answer.
tell.
Correct. So you can even gather together as a party because everyone's kind of done their own thing for a bit. If you want to explore
I'll
the
just-
merchant's field.
relay the information that I think that the new venture isn't quite settled yet for all peoples in the treaty, and it's more war orientated currently than presently concerned with the things that are happening now, and that I'm heading to that field over there.
Chancel saunter along.
Ashal will float along. Will say it. Will say no. It does not surprise me. Those in power, those with power, try to exclude those that are different or that they see as strange.
The common folk do not like things that are different.
It is a
Empathy is
form of
trained.
control.
I agree with you. I think you are correct. I also believe that the people in power, as being people, have been excluded from experiencing people who walk in all manners of life and therefore have difficulty understanding or empathizing and fall into habit.
You are right about that. A vicious circle, it could be said.
Do I see a tall person?
Tall.
Has the
yes.
big boy been popped?
There is a Fomorian out here who's trading. They have basically a like big old tarp with just stuff on it. And they're just sort of sitting there.
Hello. I don't know why she's so British.
Window ball. No.
Hello, what's your name?
Window ball. He like points at one of the trade goods. Which what would a Fomorian from the Underfey have to trade? It's literally a lot of like unprocessed ores and like shiny rocks and things, and a couple of like big old fruit seeds and stuff like that. And
Is
he just
he
points at one.
speaking Undercommon?
No.
What does he speak again?
Well, let's see what languages you know. I don't think anyone knows it, but you might surprise me.
It's probably giant or sylvan, which I most definitely do not have.
I don't.
Wow,
have
that's a
any
lot of languages.
spells,
Guys, you guys are also learned.
Well, I say.
Famulus gets by with basic undercommons.
Yeah.
I just know Undercommon and Gnomish.
Yeah, in which case you can't understand it. Yeah. It's a deep, booming dialect that makes... especially because he's sitting so chunkily on the ground.
Did not mean to post. I just wanted to look at info.
You didn't mean to accidentally start a wedding?
Oh god! Ah!
Yeah!
Big lady, big man. Perfect.
Yeah. And of course, when I said big
God.
people, you know, the Fomorians are much larger than you, Ocean. Like, much larger. Like, double your size, easy.
They're, some might say, giant.
Yeah, they're giants. But yeah, you don't
Neil
understand
made
all
a
these things.
funny, everyone! Stop! Neil made a funny!
It was a harmless funny as well.
Where's the fun in that? I didn't offend anyone. Where's the comedy? One of the guards...
Sorry, everyone, I'm going to curse. Darn!
This is really near the entrance to the city itself, right? And there's the entrance gate is like a gatehouse. There's guards positioned there. There's portcullises, all that sort of thing. And one of the guards, who is a usurper elf, is gonna kind of look over and be like, and in Elvish will say, "You're gonna have a very hard time talking with that one. Doesn't speak any of the trade languages, but quite hard to get to shove off. But occasionally some of the dwarves throw the right amount of gold at one of the rocks he has, so eventually he'll be gone. Won't be much of a trouble for too much longer."
Thank you. I love
Tanya like does that, and then he looks at the others when you are, and like the smile like fades, and he stops moving.
No, I love
I'm going
Tomula
to-
so much.
and say, perhaps we can offer him gold to come with us to our friend Bryce. Looks at her hand. Bryce.
Chancel look up and up and up and up at this Fomorian. I can't even imagine the scale, honestly.
Well, he's
Just
sitting,
like-
so it makes it a bit easier.
He's sitting, okay, but he's still kind of tall. And with a very accentuated, I'm trying to talk to someone who doesn't know my language.
Here we go.
Do you know Bryce? Bryce?
You can give me a
Chance, you
persuasion
can't
check.
just ask
Friend?
giants if they know each other.
You can give me a persuasion check with disadvantage.
Hell yeah, disadvantage.
Oh yeah.
Persuasion, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if my telepathy can bypass
Ooh,
this.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Ashran is not actually proposing this.
You see them, the Fomorians shift forward, kind of tilt their head, like their brow furrows a little in like a bit of annoyance, which means they definitely did recognize the word. Like you can tell. You can tell they recognize the word. The noun, the proper noun. But they don't seem all excited about it.
Shit.
Oh.
It would appear that Bryce is a smart individual among his kind. Perhaps he is an outcast among them as well.
Did you just call all giants stupid?
I mean, considering, like,
I think
difficult.
Oshun would look at you.
Ashal makes has no response. Just sort of.
You ever seen a mosquito attached to a human?
Ashal, would you like to project some images to pose our question, perhaps?
I am not sure it would work, and
Oshun would give you big eyes, but there's
Can't
just
see
the
him.
mask.
it is
feeling, the
impolite
feeling.
It is impolite to extend telepathy without consent.
That is an excellent point.
I have never tried to converse with someone who does not speak my language. But it's...
She'll say, "Do you know Bryce? Did you react at all?"
He already
Yes.
reacted when Chance said Bryce.
Yeah, just
And I
kind
said
of
it a
push
bit more offensively.
There's kind of like trying to shoo you away from his little corner.
Well, thank you. And
I do not think that
I don't think they're friends.
even if we could communicate with him, we would have any luck.
Oh dear. Well, I'm out of ideas unless there happen to be other people who are amenable.
Full cast of individuals in this little shanty town.
Shall we pay the diplomats a visit? I think there are some things we might be able to speak about. And Oshun, if there's still time in the day, we'll start heading towards
Yeah.
the town hall or whatever.
There's a
building it-
big kind of like parliamentary building at the back, that's kind of gated off, and you can start heading off that way.
As Charlotte's definitely at the back of the group and shakes their head before following.
Yeah. Tamulus like picks at one of his bandages anxiously and glances at Charles.
Yeah, there's a shared look.
Oshun is used to gliding into places
Yeah.
that they're not welcome in.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because when you get to the gates outside the parliamentary building, there's a plaza behind it, in front of it, and then the building, it's got all these pillars outside. It's kind of exactly what you'd imagine a diplomacy building to look like in a place like this, honestly. But also near it are, on kind of curves, are a whole bunch of diplomatic villas, as well. But this area is gated off, and there is a samurai at the gate who will kind of not bat an eye at Oshun trying to go past, but then the other three, and it was just kind of stand up and like pick up their sword, but it's still like sheathed, but you know, hold it in both hands, be like, "Hold on a minute. What business do you have entering the diplomatic halls?"
This is my party. They're accompanying me on diplomacy from, where's it called?
Lady Oshua.
Oshua and the place where we were.
Edinaro.
Chance will present like, what was it that Ultra gave them? It was like a symbol of like recognition. Like, yeah,
It's
we're
on a
in league
chain
with-
around your neck, and you're like,
Clearly.
Hands off.
The samurai gives a kind of like frustrated look before their faces just blank again, as they usually are. They're wearing kind of like full light blue armor, and they're a little kind of frustrated at it. Well, it would seem that you are diplomats. Very well. And you're free to enter these places.
you have our thanks.
Court is not currently in session, although I do believe some of the most diplomatic figures from the cities of the underworld are in abouts.
Would I know any dark elves or anyone from my city to be visiting or to have like be representing my city here?
History check.
Yep.
So as you enter, you are reminded of this, for there are 4 statues, actually, as you enter the diplomatic plaza. One of a dwarfen woman, one of a gnomish woman, one of Ulxua, explicitly, and one of Lethura Dorneb, the 4 who signed the treaty. Lethura Dorneb you would know of. She was the daimao of Narashiro, a kind of cultural leader. But she also had basically a full grasp of the entire city and everything that happened within it. she is now deceased. You know that so much.
She die now.
You don't know exactly who took her place, because you haven't really been in Narashiro much since that happened. But this does remind you of it, because, I mean, I don't know what your opinions are of her, but she definitely led Narashiro into a bit of a golden age in her leadership. And there's been a complete change, because a devil in gold killed all of her system, all of her council,
Wonder who that was.
leaving a big power vacuum that has been filled and has led to a lot of diplomacy. You do know that Gokhan, that Chance represents, is actually one of the new people that Narashiro introduced to the treaty. Here's just a little bit of general treaty lore for you that either you know already or you're going to learn as you are here. There are different types of membership, much like a UN or something, right? The primary members are the Usurper Elves, the Deep Gnomes, the Dalian Town, which is the main Deep Gnome Enclave Alliance, the Deep Dwarves, and the Ebamaro. They have full rights in the Treaty of the Deep. They can address issues, they can vote on issues, they each have a diplomat here. These are meant to be the diplomats, the statues, although obviously Lithura isn't around anymore.
Being pulled down.
And those are the people who represent the treaty here. They might not necessarily be the leaders of their homeland, but Lithura was. But they also represent the treaty here. They would be here a lot. The statue isn't pulled down. They would actually even be probably by now wilted, like flowers of respect for her death and stuff around it. It's
The
almost a
flowers
little
grow
bit of a shrine.
easily down here?
No.
Oh, fancy.
I know. It would have cost a lot and been a lot of energy.
It's a daisy.
There are secondary members for Treaty of the Deep. The first one you would know would be the Darklings. You would know about them, not ducklings, Darklings. I know I kind of squawked that, but still. You would know the Darklings because, Ocean, your whole thing is people who don't have a place and need empathy. And you would have cared deeply about the Darklings' plight. They suddenly appeared in the Underrealm. Their home teleported here due to a magical disaster. They are Fae of Darkness, hence the name. And the treaty basically extended assistance to them. They are a secondary member state, which means they don't get to vote, but they do get to sit at every meeting if they want to. Gokhan is a secondary member state. They don't get to vote, but they get to be here if they want to. And there's another gnomish enclave that has the same rights as well. Introducing new secondary states is not something they want to do. They probably will never introduce new primary states. And tertiary states are people who are like, okay, you're recognized for the treaty, but you don't actually get to do anything diplomatic. There are none of those. Those don't really exist. They're just sort of theoretical, right? Gokhan and the Darklings were kind of added into the treaty just due to their plight, and it was the first time it happened. So they ended up getting a really good deal, but they don't really need it. Gokhan is deliberately a second member state. They're very happy with the arrangement and stuff like that. There are a lot of people who would be like, oh, but we just want to be a part of it. We don't even want to vote, but it's always a firm no from them. It's something that is constant that they are trying to appeal. It's always a firm no. When it comes to people you know, Ocean, you would have personally known a lot of people from the various churches of Ivrith who, while often have a diplomatic bent, probably aren't explicitly here. But it would be very easy for you to head to the Usurper Elf, the Narashiro diplomatic villa here, and see if anyone's in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem that each of these diplomatic villas is meant to be for one of the main primary states.
Mm-hmm. So, if I was going to see someone, would it be the new person who I haven't really met yet?
If they're here.
May have seen of. Yeah.
They may not be here, they may just have staff here, you don't know.
Okay. I'll go check and see if they're in.
Okay. You can head towards this diplomatic villa. They're very nice. They're very nice. They're very swish. They really are like a Roman villa. They have like gardens outside and all that sort of thing. Vaguely, you know, Usurper Elf themed, right? In some of the styling, but also they do all kind of blurred together. Although there's only 4 of them. Of course, gated off and very well guarded and all that kind of thing. Do you want to go and just straight up knock at the door?
Sure.
As you approach, you have to head through a gate.
Oh Lord, I have no wine.
You actually will... One of the individuals will leave the place as you are about to kind of knock at the door. They were leaving through a different exit, and you can see them. A very large and imposing figure for a usurper elf. Quite tall, wearing full black samurai armor. So dark it kind of sucks up all the light.
Is he as tall as me?
No! Actually, shorter. They will march up to you. You
I
can't
know.
see the expression on their face, for they are wearing a very detailed mask of a dragon. It's full 3D, but it's also more than just a mask. It's a full, like, armored helmet. It has these, like, tendrils of shadow that fade from the mask behind it. They kind of, like, hang in the air. And then these 2 big, like, canisters that are, like, installed in the underside of the mask. Very much like a gas mask, although none of you would know what that is. That are really, like, they're kind of installed in where he would be able to breathe. And as he stops, kind of like a snort, there is like a white steam that from the edge of the canisters.
Love it.
So cool.
Just above his My Chemical Romance shirt.
Yeah, a little. He's very edgy. He's very edgy. There is a moment where the red eyes of the mask look over the lot of you, and the chin kind of tips. What affairs do you have here?
Our affairs are our own. But thank you very much for checking.
Give me a persuasion check.
just
Reaches
see,
into
just
pocket.
hear Charl and Tumulus just tense more.
Yeah.
What's so
Oh! Ah! Wounded! I basically just stab myself and go, ah!
There's like his look lingers on you, right? And then he will just turn and start leaving.
Chance will like very quickly like skitter in front of her and like bring up the thing. What is it?
It's an obol. Yeah, it's like a giant coin.
Big coin of Ultua and just be like, we are here on diplomatic
She sends a goblin.
not just a goblin, but a goblin of Gokhan.
Oh,
And
I know Gokhan.
as you can tell, like you know, motions to the dress, obviously not goblin dress. Nothing shady. We're just here to do some little things for this Ultra person. Don't know if you've heard of them, but nothing too out of place. Just it's very awkward because this guy is like super like really
Yeah,
intense.
and there's it like very intense, and then there's the sort of hissing of the gas mask every now and again as well. What is it that you have to say then? Why would Ulxua send her puppets when we meet regularly enough here?
Looks to Ocean.
Or perhaps, did you not know what you were here to say? And were just hoping for the best.
And tell that you care deeply, and enough that you would wish to not have anyone waste this good lady's time. I don't discuss my affairs in the street, and I'm sure you understand.
The
Persuasion
mistress is accustomed to a certain level of adherence to her wishes.
Give me a persuasion check with advantage. You notice, because you can't like see the small motions of his eyes, but you notice him like look down at your big belly, your big pregnant belly.
How I'd crush him with it!
Quatham!
God, it's just like getting right in there, just
Come on!
like a beer can.
Ah, it's better! It's better!
Fine.
I have +7 in my fucking persuasion.
I am busy, but we can take a moment to talk about your affairs. Motions to the front door, which will, with a push of like force magic, just open. Like you hear it.
Thank you. And just move on forward.
Yeah, the inside of the
Give them,
villa
like,
is
a really awkward, toothy grin. Just like,
It's so many teeth.
As
So
Shah
many
is
teeth.
trying to make themselves as small and unnoticeable as possible.
when they walk in, they will take their katana from their back and place it on a stand in the middle of the basically coffee table, which would be where he stands in front of it for the rest of you to sit or kneel in front on the other side. His hands just kind of rest behind his back. Speak. Tell me what it is you wish to tell me.
So, just gonna ask some ignorant question. So, I'm from a certain sector in Narashiro.
Yeah.
Is that sector represented, or is it the whole of Narashiro that's represented
Whole
here?
city and culture. By extension, it's all usurper elves, because nearly all usurper elves belong to Narashiro. That doesn't mean there aren't other dark elves. But really, it's one diplomat for the entire culture. You do notice a large painting on the wall of him and a woman who looks much more like a diplomat than him. As well as seemingly a child, maybe around 10, but like in elven years, so who knows how old that is. And then very large, unattractive, lumpy shape in the background.
But he's such a good boy. Is he just coming in at the corner like...
It looks like the painter was forced to paint them in, but didn't want to.
He does look like a potato, though.
So you immediately get the impression just from you knowing this kind of thing that he actually isn't the diplomat that you're here to talk to, but obviously is in cahoots.
Yeah. Would I have their name or
You can give me a history check,
their title?
because you don't know it from him telling you, but you might know it from your wealth of lore. Yeah, you actually do, which is quite impressive. Because you're keeping abreast of the news, this is Voss of House Nor. But also of House Tabeskos. House Tabeskos is the diplomatic house of Narashiro. He married in. But he is also the new shogun of Narashiro, who manages all matters of war, which is most likely why he is here, which is quite understandable considering he is well, at least he's a samurai in really nice armor at the very least.
I just love the whole thing. I'm just very chuffed with this design and this character, and I'm just like,
He's so cool.
Desires.
So he is the husband. He is one of the husbands of the lead diplomat of Narashiro.
Would I know her name is also what I meant.
You would know that it's Univara de Vescos, and there is also her brother, Jariko de Vescos. And there's other statues, other paintings of them, like a family. He might even notice that. Would you like look around at these paintings?
I'm not quite as caught up on the Sunday game.
Well, no, you. Why? It doesn't matter. Would you look around at these paintings because you're trying to like pick up all the pieces?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
When you look at the painting of both Univara and her brother Jariko, like, if you are here to talk matters of diplomacy, his ear would be better than mine. He's in court right now. I don't care much for the squabbles. Well, it's not that I don't care. I don't have the time.
And we're most certainly not here to discuss any matters concerning war.
I can tell that very much. Would you like me to escort you to the Sir Jariko de Vescos?
If you wouldn't mind, I'd be most obliged.
He'll pick up the sword. Like, you haven't even had your tea yet. So, like, a second, like, Tumulus manages to sit down comfortably. You have to get up again. Oh, great. We've all been there.
Leave some of
You
his.
can hear the creak as he slowly eases himself down into his position.
As they're walking, and this is a power walk. Like, forgive me if I do not know your name. Hopefully you know your name, Zoe.
I was distracted for a second because I was like gonna respond to the chat, and then I was like, "Oh no, I'm called upon."
You're being talked to right now.
I'm Oshun of the Church of Ivrith from Narashiro. I have found that sometimes my reputation precedes me.
I am sure my wife would know more of you than myself. We are not the most religious.
No.
That's really it. There's a semi-comfortable silence forms with the marching of him and his armor, which is loud but also kind of quiet. It's like all the sound is muted, but you still hear everything jankle and move. He will walk you into the diplomatic building itself and then motion to one of the rooms. And a small group of diplomats is going to be leaving it, including Jariko de Vescos, a fairly attractive usurper elf. He has his hair is currently side shaved with kind of like he's just not cut it in a long time. But it is dyed red, but he's also not dyed it in a long time. So there's like a kind of roots of silver starting to grow, and then like a fluff of red that kind of like flops over the side.
Has gotten to him too.
He's got a bit of a COVID look.
He hasn't got out to a hair salon.
He's got a bit of a COVID look, but he's also he. You could just tell, because you've met these kind of people before, he's very good at talking to all these other people in the way they want to be talked to. And so he's giving all the appropriate sort of bows and respects as they're leaving. He's also, unlike this guy, Vosnor, not even like a ceremonial or like just in case sword.
Bless you.
Nothing like that. Blessings of Ithith upon you.
Oh, it's such a full body sneeze.
I'm gonna sneeze out spiders. And there is a very brief conversation in Elvish, which is more or less like, there's someone here for you. They wanted to talk diplomacy. They tried to talk to me. And Jericho's like, well, they can't be having that. Okay. Are you heading home? Yes. And then, like, there's a little bit of, like, actual, like, brother-in-law conversation before Voss leaves. It's not
Do
entirely...
they do the hand and the pat pat?
No. There is no physical interaction at all. It's... I mean, it's awkward because it's two, like, guys as well, you know?
Dudes being bros, bros being guys, guys being dudes.
And then you actually, can you give me a perception check? Because there's going to be a little bit of hushed conversation too. And if you speak Elvish, you can also do the perception check. If you don't, well, you might hear it, but you won't fucking understand it. So
Oh, that bad boy.
Oh
No, I think I missed it.
Yeah.
Do you speak Elvish?
I do, and I flubbed the perception check anyway.
Okie dokie. Yeah, you don't hear it. And then Voss will leave. He will step and kind of look at Ocean for a bit. You get the impression, it's a very uncomfortable feeling, Ocean, that he's looking right through you. Like, under the mask.
Oshun is used to people looking at her.
And then he will just leave.
Bam! Bam!
Jureko will take a few moments. He will kind of twitch his fingers in a certain way, and there's a little kind of ring of red wizardly magic, and then dust is just gonna off his little his cloak and robes. Like, well, oh, I can tell this is going to be a long conversation, right? My quarters,
By
I suppose.
no means. I just came to introduce myself to you. I don't believe we've had the pleasure, Jericho de Vescos.
He looks at you, and his eyes look like very specifically at your stomach for a bit, like someone who is kind of freaked out by pregnancy and babies. You know, sort of like, like I would remember you. Yes. When are you due?
Oh, it's a gift from my goddess. I can make no ploys into understanding her design. It's been about a year and a half, so probably the second trimester.
You get a little bit of side eye from Tumulus when you say this.
Excellent.
Ashal doesn't understand.
Well, what a blessing from the goddess.
She has been plentiful with her blessings. And thus I find myself in a position of an unofficial diplomat, going from city to city, understanding the needs and the news, helping where
Right.
I can. Thus I wanted to introduce myself to you since the passing of your forebear.
Oh, yes. Terrible time. Well, I imagine that means we'll be likely doing some business together at some point.
I'm available if you should need me. Thus is my my group.
Yeah.
You can
Like-
see how we value diversity in our walks of life.
There's a really long look at Tumulus. And like he can't hide it. He's looking at him.
That's something that we really respect about the treaty and the steps towards progress that have been taken.
Oh yes.
Most fantastic, embracing diversity.
It was me and my compatriot Rakath that actually managed to convince the treaty in the in allowing the gnomes of Gokhan to assist us.
Would I know Rakath?
You would know the word. The word in Elvish means monster.
Oh. Okay.
But he says it like a proper noun.
Yeah.
He's not just like,
Fantastic.
"Ah, my monster."
Me and my monster.
Yeah. It's a whole thing.
Oh,
He will clasp his hands together and like, that all sounds excellent. Are you here permanently, or do you have places to be?
Oh, we're passing through on our way to Narashiro for work on behalf of Ulsua.
What work would that be?
There's the coin. Almost like a proud symbol.
Right, okay. What work would that be? I mean, he's asking you.
Not want to speak.
He's asking you.
We are making sure that all peoples are represented fairly and are kept in health and happiness.
I have no
I
issue
don't
with
suppose
that.
you've heard of any disappearances of any kinds of people?
There are an awful lot of people to keep track of.
Hmm.
I'm not really able to keep a fair of disappearances in Narashiro? Like now? No.
All right. We did
Rakath-
encounter someone on the road. Someone who said that they did not feel adequately represented.
Right? Did they submit the proper forms?
Ah. What was he again? He was what are they called? Fomorian. Yeah, he was a Fomorian gentleman.
Oh. Well, thing is, right, I would love to let anyone, you know, taste the bounties of the Treaty of the Deep, right?
Of course.
Of course, it's not up to me. But if a culture doesn't have a central government, there's nothing we can do. If there is some leader of the Fomorians, we have not heard of them. Admittedly,
Right.
the ones we get down
For
here...
President.
The ones we get down here are a long way away from home, and they don't have sing rings to talk from long distances. They don't have them. So, other than if they have some real powerful shamans, which honestly they might, the ones we get down here are just kind of on their own, and so there's nothing much we can really do to help them. Let me know when there's a Fomorian king.
Rice just wants to be a merchant. Tavern keep. Is there some form of form for that? Perhaps? Merchant's charter?
I mean, yes. Where is this tavern?
On the road. Just before the city.
It's not in Kavanari.
Construction.
Under construction.
Right,
Or
if it ends
what?
up having a population of around 1,000 or so, then we can start talking really. Until then, it's, you know, it's an independent business.
It does seem like a terrible shame to be ostracized because you do not have representation in the thousands. Is there naught to be done? Can they not be adopted by a sect? A guild?
That can happen, but I don't know if there's a... Well, there's one in Narashiro if you wanted to take him all the way there, but not really for taverns. You should speak to Rakath about this. I don't know if Rakath could help. He might not actually... Oh, God. Is that racist?
Oh, he's having a crisis right in front of us.
Rice would build the tavern closer, were he allowed. It might help to keep some of the other races in line if there was a large Fomorian tavern keep who was exceptionally well spoken and equipped with a large club.
You can give me a persuasion check, Thomas.
Can I assist?
Yeah, okay. I'll give you advantage.
I just tap you with my belly.
It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be good, guys.
It hasn't
Oh
been.
god, is your dump stat?
It says
Just,
something
kidding.
I
It's
can
gonna be a
do.
natty 20. It's,
Way,
it's my dump stat.
Took years off my life.
It's possible. Right, maybe I'll have to go and talk to this Bryce, but I'm fully booked for the rest of the year. And on that note, I do have to meet with someone very important. And then he will bow. And you can tell it's like he doesn't know how to bow to like you as like a priestess and an ascendant, but he will bow and kind of hang there for a little moment. Like, when you're in Narashiro, if you have any messages to send to me, you can send a message to me via sling ring. Or sing ring.
Sling ring is just where you.
Throw a ring from Narashiro.
Now, if you'll allow me, and he will leave, and he will head directly towards a door that on the carving outside in Gnomish reads spa and massage.
Did he tell us where to find Rakath?
No.
Yo! Where you friend at?
He's gone! He's gone to the massage! The door opens with a burst of steam, and then he's...
When I get a massage and a spa and steam.
He seems like a very busy man.
I think that's
Get you away
bullshit.
from the steam. Tumulus, no! Get away from the steam.
He'll hydrate.
Like,
Oh god, you don't want to see him hydrated. Like he walks
Become
around the corner.
plump
He
again.
walks around the corner. He's just a swollen core.
Oi.
Gross.
he seems like a diplomat.
I thought you were going to say he seems like a
Alright. Well, I found that most helpful, didn't you?
As Charles shares another look with Tumulus.
wah, wah.
Awesome. And I think that's actually a great place to end off for today. With you
Fine.
gliding.
Rakath.
Beat him up. Give us the answers.
Pow.
Help our friend.
Help Bryce. Save
Help
Bryce.
this
Save the
stranger.
underworld.
What an average name, Bryce.
There may be a reason for his
Why?
name. There's a reason for everything. Hashtag everything's connected.
Mind over matter.
That's it. That's the end of the show. This is when you guys
Get
can talk
outta
about what
here.
you want. Starting with Nil, my good friend. For a long
That was very
time.
musical. I appreciate that.
I've got like
Hello.
one energy cell left, and that's what it was spent on.
I feel that same. Like drinking
I
this
did not
help.
expect
It actually
so
made me
much.
zone out more.
I warned
so
you.
I make a note to not drink while taking antidepressants. Don't do that.
Well, yeah.
Hi, I'm Neil, also known as Cosmic Layer. I am a wacky person. I usually do like tournaments and like draw stuff, but like haven't done anything this year because COVID to 2020. But if you want to see stuff that I've made before, look at YouTube or YouTube, same name. Twitter has memes, same name. Wherever my name is it up? Is my name up?
It's up.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
my name is up. Type that, you'll find my stuff. You might like it. Or not. I don't know. I don't make those decisions for you.
True. After that, it's Neil.
Neil.
Hi, I'm Neil. Not Neil. I'm Neil.
I know I have to really enunciate in this game.
You can find me on the Discord at Nakai. You can find me on Twitter at Nakai_, because someone stole my name.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Naghire.
Yeah.
It's
I've always
been
We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. Whoa,
It's
I always-
not
Oh my
naughty.
God.
It's never been
I'm
naughty.
not that naughty.
Well, the dyslexia makes everything different.
Dyslexia makes everything
No,
naughty.
to be fair, that people who don't have dyslexia. To be fair, it's a nasty combination of letters.
Ah,
then you can find me also on twitch.tv/DaleRick, where my character's currently dead and I need to create a new one. So that's Pathfinder.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Oh, Pathfinder. No.
Don't make deals with devils, kids.
Yep.
Makes God angry.
But I've got a good pair of devils for you. It's Ian and Zoe.
I thought you were talking about your balls at first.
I was gonna go speaking of dead characters, but that works too.
Well, speaking of Ollie's balls,
Get on with it.
Hello, I'm Ian.
I'm in. Listen, okay, it's the last game before Christmas.
That's right.
We just finished a campaign. I was going to say see us in the Monday game, but it's over.
It's not over.
We
It's
did
finished.
just finish
It's-
the last
it's
Patreon
dead.
campaign.
Forever.
It's between campaigns, but yeah, go watch go listen to the final episode
So
and
good.
the rest of them.
So good.
It is
How
very
many
good.
episodes are there?
There's-
That was the 45th. I thought it was much further than that, but that was the 45th.
Yeah, I thought it was like
Many
49.
episodes.
But yeah.
But-
the 40th finale.
Like the 50th. That was
that's worth noting. If you're like, God, there's too many episodes of this to watch. I don't have time to catch up on this. Well, there's a new campaign starting in a few weeks. So it's the perfect time to pick up something to listen to while you're pooping, while you're reading, while you're drawing, while you're pooping.
Pooping and drawing at the same time.
We've all been
Who
there.
knows? We're not going to judge. We don't know what you're doing while you're listening to our
I don't know what you're
voices.
doing while you're listening to my
Fuck
streams.
you.
I know what
It's
some
best to
people
keep
are
it that
doing while
way.
listening to my streams, but still. Speaking of, yes, you can support this show on Patreon. That show is available for $5 or more, although there is actually like a little nugget of it that's available for like $1 if you want to see if you like it. I might even do that with some of the
I
other
got
stuff.
it. I think I got it.
I guess I froze
That's time.
for a bit. But yeah, that's available on Patreon. This Patreon helps me support create this show. So please help out. We're also doing a lot of other streams. I'm also doing Doom Lore, not this week, but in general, on Fable Scraps on Fridays. Right now we're doing all kinds of other chill streams, so please join us for all of that, and join the Discord for all the lore discussion, all that kind of thing as well. But that's it. That's it all. Goodbye. See you next time.
I
Have
got
a
that one.
good Christmas.
Yeah,
got that
Merry
one on
Christmas,
screenshot.
Happy Holidays.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas.
Crim.
Eat
Don't
much.
drink too much.
Eat much
It's a
instead.
good shout. Eat much.
Eat much.
Drink
don't
moderate.
Drink too much.